What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Draft brought to you by the good folks right here at Badger State Brewing. I am your host, Ross Uglum, the publisher of Pack Report, and I am so very excited today because today it is Kalen King Day. Um, one of my favorite picks, we were talking about, value, right? And uh, actually, almost as crazy as it sounds, although it shouldn't, because I had him as a top 90 player, and I felt like the Packers, had a need at his position. Um, I almost had a daily draft prospect primer on him, right? Because I had a top 100 grade on him. We were talking about players, in the top uh, 91 where the Packers had 5 picks, but then we also talked about um or I had been discussing cornerback as a need in round 1. So we basically broke down all of the round 1 corners, and we didn't want to have it so corner heavy, have it being like the prospect primer schedule. So we ended up really focusing on, the guys in the top 45. And that's how Kalen didn't end up with an episode. So real quick on Kalen King, because some of this stuff has kind of been done to death. Day 2 guy, probably early day 2 guy, maybe late day 1 guy. A lot of way too early first round mocks with him. Had an awesome season in 2022, playing across from Joey Porter Jr. You'll see some, I'll just call them like lies out there, some really amateur like scouting, where folks say, "Oh, WR runs." Like, no, Penn State didn't play that way. Go watch the film. You don't want to watch the film. Go look at the PFF stats. Go look at when Keon Coleman was at Michigan State, how many times Kalen King was covered or was targeted. When Marvin Harrison Jr. played against Penn State in 2022, not in 2023. Go look at the way that he was targeted against Joey Porter Jr. and then against Kalen King. They get largely played like left and right, or occasionally like field and boundary. Just Joey Porter Jr. was not following number 1 receivers in 2022. It just wasn't happening. So this myth that the armchair quarterback, and I'm sure it's from like Big Ten fans that don't like Penn State, like Badger fans or Michigan fans or whatever. Like, I don't know, but this was not. Look, he didn't play well. I'm not defending Kalen King's 2023 tape or his pre-draft process. That is all why he ended up in the 7th round. None of it was good. But this idea that he was just exposed because he didn't have to cover anybody in 2022 when he was an All-American is BS. It's not true. It can be easily disproven by going back and watching the tape. It can be easily disproven by looking at basic player participation data on PFF College. It's literally as simple as how often was he lined up against this player, and you just go through. Like I said, I off the dome I named and went and researched Marvin Harrison Jr., went and researched Keon Coleman. Andy has posted clips of Jaden Reed versus Kalen King, also Michigan State. But you could go look at a number of folks, right? A number of number 1 receivers in the Big Ten that maybe didn't make it to the league, or at least hadn't been a big deal in the league, like a Keon Coleman, like a Marvin Harrison Jr. But it's just not the case. Now, with that said, like, fully willing to admit that there is a reason. Now, I still gave him a 3rd round grade because I had going into it, and kind of on my preliminary list, he was like a 45th overall guy for me, 48th, 51st overall, and just kept sliding. But for me, it's so much about the tape, right? I get accused a lot, and this stuff is important to me, right? There are some limitations that I'm going to talk about with Kalen King that I don't know if they're fixable, or I don't know if they are. I think that where you can use him or how you can use him changes a little bit because of some of these limitations. And look, there are slow corners that have worked out. Richard Sherman, Josh Norman, that it works. You can get it to work, but a lot of those guys are big. A lot of those guys are super physical. And I don't, if you go by what he ran at his pro day, he doesn't really have a disqualifying time in the 40. He just doesn't have what you'd like to see. But there are a number of very real factors that are the reason that he fell to round 7. There are also a number of real factors that are the reason that he, in my opinion, should have been a 3rd round pick and, was regarded as one of the bigger value picks of the draft based on consensus and then to where he was taken. And one of my, top picks of all time for them. In fact, he is, they're in the last 4 drafts. They picked him 171 spots after where I had him ranked. That's T1 because they actually happened to pick Michael Pratt 171 spots after where I had him ranked. Rounding out that list, just in case you're curious, is Rasheed Walker 156 picks after I had him ranked. Kingsley Enagbare 124 picks after I had him ranked, and Carl Brooks 113 picks after I had him ranked. Sheed, Kingsley, and Carl Brooks, or JJ Enagbare, have made me look extremely smart. Will Kalen King, and to a different sort of extent, Michael Pratt do the same. Not 100% sure. With all that said, and I do mean all that said, looking forward, I guess, is looking forward. I think you can kind of take I don't even know if this is fair because, like I said, it's not a disqualifying time. But all along the process, I thought he's a nickel. He's a nickel. He's a nickel. He's a nickel. Casey Hayward was somebody that came to mind watching him play. I also said that for Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia. It's just because I'm a Packers guy. But everything that he doesn't do well. So if you look at, his numbers here, Mr. Kalen King, you look at this is great radio, great podcasting. 6.68 on the RAS, not tragic. Will definitely be in the 7s again. Like he ran a 4.53, 4.5 something at his pro day. Now again, you have to sort of adjust that, but 4.61 at the combine, 4.5. Let's say he's a 4.5 guy. He's going to have that 7 RAS, not elite by any stretch, but not going to get you killed. Good size, actually their size. He's above 191, or he's above 190. Really good size for a corner at 5'11" and a quarter. Not too tall, not too short. Should be really versatile. Short shuttle was fine. Vert was fine. Broad was fine. This was all fine. He just didn't run super well. And I just think in general, he didn't have like a great pre-draft process. I don't think he had very good advice. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But then I go into like what he does well and just what I think of him as a football player, his ball skills, his playmaking ability. And I know that wasn't there in 2023, but my God in heaven, it was there in 2022. His physicality, guys, he hits, man. He hits and he tackles. I want to look real quick at his PFF stuff because I'd love to know. And with corner, it's always a little bit interesting. But I'd love to know like his tackling numbers because he is physical as hell. And a lot of times, especially guys that have success early in their career, get kind of the Dion mentality where I'm getting paid to cover. I'm not getting paid to hit. But and okay, so it's more of stuff that I like on tape than a numbers thing because he's right there at 15% missed tackles, which is higher than you'd like to see. It's nothing tragic. It really isn't. He was 14% missed tackles in 2022. It's all fine. But man, you look at these 2022 numbers, and look, the Packers have made hay here. Tremendous hay. I've gone, over and over again. Dontavion Wicks, much better the previous year. Coming out. Jordan Love, much better the previous year. Jaden Reed, much better the previous year. Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft both had more yards their second to last year of college than their last year of school. The Packers have done a ton of this, like using their entire college careers as the body of work, not just the one season, the most recent season. No, it's the most recent thing. It's the most important, whatever. But um, man, you look at Kalen King in 2022, allowing 45%. This is the NFL is a 65% completion league, or a 61 or 2% completion league, allowing 45% of the passes into his coverage to be completed, um, surrendering one touchdown in the last 2 years, 9 passes broken up, and 3 picks, with a quarterback rating in 2022 against a 48.9. Again, this is these guys are like the average, I think, NFL QB rating is in the high 80s. This guy was incredible. And I think if you project him forward as someone who's going to make this team, and I think he is, even, 7th round pick, nothing is guaranteed, but as someone who's going to make this team, what would I do? You, Kalen King would be a starting nickel now. I don't think there's anything that Keyshawn Nixon did defensively last year that would tell me that he's going to be a better option than Kalen King at nickel tomorrow. And I'd prefer Kalen King to get those reps. They're not going to do this. I would be blown away. In fact, unfortunately, I think Javon Bullard might have the second look at slot reps even before Kalen King. But this is where Kalen King started in camp. Hafley likes him. There's so much to like here, guys. He's a good enough athlete. And if you start taking away, like the things that I said, the instincts, willingness to hit. I wish that missed tackle percentage was lower, but the willingness to hit is awesome. Guys, I really like him. And he is so good playing the ball. He is so good at the catch point. He understands route concepts so well that I think a move inside is only going to help him. And then again, if the 4.5 speed, and look, he didn't play well in 2023. There's all sorts of problems on the tape in 2023. But if you're projecting forward and you're thinking, we can find the 2022 player, keep in mind, guys, this is a true freshman in 2021 that came out early. He's 21. He turned 21 in January. This is a kid. Probably should have gone back to Penn State. Probably would have been drafted in round 3 or 4, depending on the type of season that he would have. But I think he got so excited after being an All-American as a true sophomore that he probably felt it was time to come out. And I understand that fully. I really do. I think the Packers might have got something here. I think he's a 10-year nickel in the league. And the odds are that I'm dead ass wrong, because that is not what you find in the 7th round. The NFL is not necessarily great at picking who, is going to be at the top. Like there are a lot of busts. They're pretty good at these guys that have these free falls that you don't really understand. Most of them don't work out. I think Kalen King bucks the trend, or I wouldn't have ranked him where I ranked him. I'm really, really excited about him. I think he tackles well enough. I think he's physical enough. And everything else that I want from a nickel, he's got it. He's not blazing fast like Keyshawn Nixon, but that's not what you need from a nickel. You need toughness. You need instincts. You need playmaking ability. This kid has it in spades. In spades. And now he's got a massive chip on his shoulder. I'm so excited about Kalen King. I hope he gets a real opportunity. Again, like I think I said this during the Bullard video. There's a way that you can look at what the Packers did and really think they don't think very much of Keyshawn Nixon. They've said they like him. Hafley has said he likes him on defense. They paid the man more than you would pay a kick returner, certainly. But man, they hammered his position. Evan Williams can play there. Javon Bullard can play there. Kalen King, they started there. They hammered that position. Now, I won't even say now. They used a second, a fourth, and a 7th round pick on guys who can play there. I hope he gets this chance. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you're on the podcast side, hope you like my Packer Report merch. Hopefully, Andy's thrown the link down there for you to check it out. We really appreciate that. It's a great way to help us out. Other than that, join us at Packer Report. Become a VIP. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. I am at Ross Uglum. Check us out at Packer Report 66. Shout out to our founder, this guy right here, Ray Nitschke. Might have heard of him. And do everything you're supposed to do here on the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and click the bell to get the notifications so that you can get all the Packers content that you require on a daily basis. Have a great day, guys. Go Pack, go.